A German general believed 58 brand new Panther tanks would stop Patton cold. Only 8 came back. Here's why this decision destroyed Germany's last armored hope. April 3rd, 1945, near Hammelburg, Bavaria. Cold rain hammers the steel hulls of American Sherman tanks idling beneath a gray German sky. Engines rumble low, impatient. Inside one turret, a young U.S. tank commander wipes condensation from his periscope and watches the road ahead, a narrow ribbon cutting through forest and farmland. Somewhere beyond those trees, German armor is moving. Heavy armor. To the east, in a half-ruined command post lit by flickering lanterns, a German general studies a map with clenched fists. Red grease pencil arrows mark the American advance fast, aggressive, unmistakably Patton. The general knows what's at stake. If the Americans break through here, southern Germany will collapse. His answer lies parked in muddy fields behind him. 58 brand new Panther tanks, fresh from factories that no longer exist, crews rushed from training depots, engines barely broken in. This is the moment he chooses to gamble everything. Steel on paper, desperation in reality. The order goes out just before dawn. The Panthers are to move west, form a blocking line, and stop Patton cold. On paper, it makes perfect sense. The Panzerkampfwagen V Panther is one of the most formidable tanks of the war. Thick, sloped frontal armor, a high-velocity 75mm KWK-42 gun capable of killing a Sherman at over 2,000 meters. Optics that outclass almost anything the Allies can field. German tank doctrine still believes in it. German commanders still want to believe in it. But paper doesn't smell like gasoline. Paper doesn't sink into Bavarian mud. As the Panthers roll out, reality begins to bite almost immediately. Gearboxes grind, engines overheat. One tank throws a track before it even reaches the main road. Another stalls in a ditch, crew scrambling as rainwater floods the engine compartment. These machines were never meant to be rushed into combat like this. Not without maintenance, not without coordination, not without air cover. And air cover is something Germany no longer has. By mid-morning, the American sky belongs entirely to the Allies. P-47 Thunderbolts prowl above the roads, their pilots trained to spot the distinctive long barrels and angular silhouettes of Panthers. When they find them, they don't need to kill them outright. They crater roads, smash bridges, force detours, turning the German advance into a traffic jam of steel and frustration. Inside his tank, an American lieutenant hears the distant thunder of bombs and smiles grimly. Patton's doctrine is already at work even before the first tank on tank shot is fired. Patton himself is miles away, moving fast as always. His headquarters is fluid, aggressive, pushing commanders forward with a single obsession: never let the enemy set the terms. When intelligence reports come in, German Panthers moving to block the advance, there is no panic, no pause. Fine, one staff officer terse. We'll kill them. American armored columns do not slow. Instead, they spread. Shermans fan out. Infantry rides the decks. M10 tank destroyers and M36 Jacksons move to flanking positions. Artillery units pre-register crossroads and likely choke points. Radios crackle with constant updates, a luxury the German crews don't have. The Panthers finally reach their assigned blocking positions late in the day, scattered and disorganized. Some crews have never fired their guns in combat, others have barely worked together. They dig in as best they can, hulls angled, engines idling, optics scanning tree lines and roads. Then the Americans arrive not in a dramatic charge, but in a methodical, suffocating advance. Artillery falls first. High explosive shells walk across the Panther positions, shaking crews inside their tanks, snapping radio antennas, damaging optics. Smoke follows. Then infantry appears, advancing cautiously, supported by Shermans firing on the move. A Panther commander lines up a shot, squeezes the trigger, and watches his gun recoil uselessly as a misfeed jams the breech. Another fires successfully, destroying a Sherman in a burst of flame, but the kill only gives away his position. Within minutes, return fire slams into his flanks. The Panther's frontal armor holds, its side armor does not. One by one, Panthers are hit, immobilized, or forced to withdraw. Some are abandoned when engines fail. Others are knocked out by bazooka teams crawling through hedgerows Patton's men have already learned to exploit. A few are destroyed from the air, rockets tearing through engine decks too thin to resist. As night falls, the battlefield is littered with burning hulks. German crews stumble back through the dark, exhausted, shocked. The blocking line is already cracking, and Patton's forces haven't even begun their real push yet. The graveyard of Panthers. April 5th, 1945. Dawn breaks over the Bavarian countryside. Smoke hangs low over the fields like a dirty fog. Burned out Panther hulls still glow faintly, their steel warped paint blistered. Ammunition cooked off during the night. American infantry moves carefully among them now, rifles up, boots crunching on broken glass and twisted metal. For many of the GIs, it's their first close look at Germany's most feared tank, and it's lying dead. The German general receives the overnight reports in silence. Out of the original 58 Panthers, nearly half are already gone, destroyed, immobilized, or abandoned. Worse still, the Americans didn't stop. They maneuvered around the blocking force, just as Patton always does. Roads the Germans assumed were secondary have suddenly become main avenues of advance. Patton is already threatening the rear. Still, the general issues another order. The remaining Panthers are to counterattack. It is no longer a plan, it is a reflex. The tanks move out in small, fragmented groups, lacking fuel, ammunition, and coordination. Radio traffic is sporadic. Some commanders never receive updated positions. Others advance straight into artillery kill zones the Americans registered hours earlier. When the counterattack begins, it is met with a wall of fire. American 105mm and 155mm artillery slams down with brutal accuracy. Shells punch craters beside the Panthers, flipping lighter vehicles, stunning crews. Sherman tanks don't rush forward, they wait. They let the German armor expose itself. Then, tank destroyers engage from long range, firing from concealed positions the Panthers never see. A Panther commander fires and scores another kill. A Sherman erupts in flame. The momentary triumph lasts seconds. An American forward observer, watching from a church tower, calmly radios in grid coordinates. Less than a minute later, shells rain down. The Panther is flipped onto its side by a near miss. The crew bails out, hands raised, faces gray with shock. Above it all, the thunderbolts return, low and fast, engines screaming. They rake the roads and fields with .50 caliber fire and rockets. Panthers scatter, engines straining, some crews abandoning perfectly intact tanks simply because they can't move without being seen. One pilot later reports destroying 3 tanks in a single pass, 2 burned, 1 left disabled and smoking. By midday, the battlefield has turned into chaos. American infantry is everywhere, in forests, in villages, behind hedgerows. Bazooka teams stalk Panthers like hunters, aiming for side armor, engine decks, tracks. Even when a Panther survives a hit, it often can't escape. A thrown track is a death sentence now. Patton's combined arms doctrine is working exactly as designed. Tanks, infantry, artillery, air power, not as separate forces, but as a single, relentless machine. The Panthers, for all their technical brilliance, are fighting alone. The German general finally understands the truth he has been refusing to face. The Panther is no longer a weapon of decision. It is a liability. Late that afternoon, he authorizes withdrawals, but it's too late. Fuel shortages strand tanks on the roads. Crews destroy their own vehicles with demolition charges rather than let them be captured. Others simply walk away, disappearing into the countryside. American forces keep moving. By April 7th, the count is undeniable. Of the 58 Panthers committed to stop Patton, only 8 remain operational, and even those are battered, low on fuel, and in retreat. The rest lie scattered across Bavaria, burned out wrecks, abandoned steel giants, or silent hulks stripped by American troops for souvenirs. Patton drives through the battlefield shortly after. He stands beside one of the Panthers, hands on hips, cigar clenched between his teeth. He doesn't admire it, he doesn't touch it. To him, it's just another obstacle that failed to stop the advance. His staff notes the numbers, his tanks keep rolling. For the German army, the loss is more than material. It is psychological. These Panthers were supposed to be the answer, the last technological edge, the final argument. Their destruction proves what many already suspected. The war is no longer about better machines. It's about logistics, coordination, and momentum, and Germany has lost all three. Weeks later, as American forces push deeper into the Reich, the lesson becomes clear. The fatal mistake was not building the Panther. The fatal mistake was believing that 58 tanks, no matter how advanced, could stop an army commanded by a man who understood modern warfare and who never gave his enemy time to breathe. The road east remains open, and Patton keeps moving.